Hi, I'm Jenny Fratsky, and welcome to God is a Good Father Devotions. Today we will focus on Philippians 3:13-14. Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forth unto those things which are before. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Jesus Christ. I woke at dawn, ready for my annual Shakespeare in the Park. Now, normally I prefer a comedy like Taming the Shrew or Much Ado About Nothing, because a comedy ends in marriage. But I would not be laughing today because the tragedy of Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, was a dark play, and my heart felt heavy. In college, I wrote essays about Shakespearean plays, but I'm older now, and I wanted to see Hamlet from a Christian worldview and a more hopeful perspective. As I drove over Rogers Pass, the sky darkened and it started to rain. And so I prayed to God that this long drive that carried me to a Shakespearean play that was a tragedy would show me something hopeful from a Christian worldview. At 2:00 in the afternoon, I arrived at Gibson Park, and that was 3 or more hours early because I thought the play, according to the arts newsletter that had never let me down for 20 years, when it wrote 3:30, I thought for sure I was on time. But I should have checked the website for clarification. So for a second, I thought about driving home, because if I stayed, I'd be well over midnight before I arrived back home. Arriving 3 or more hours early to Hamlet made me consider turning around and going back home. But I had enough faith that God was going to show me something today, something hopeful. And so when I arrived at the park, the cast members were setting up the stage, and a young man shouted out, "Well, you're early." And I said, "Well, yes, I'm really looking forward to seeing this play." And he said, "Well, it doesn't start until 6 o'clock. And I was pretty shocked. I sat down on a park bench and watched the ducks for a while. And then I decided to go get a little Mexican food and journal in my notebook and come back. I wasn't going to give up hope that God had something to show me. Since I was so early for the play, I sat on a park bench and prayed about a Bible character who might help me understand the character of Hamlet. And King David topped the list. Like the Prince of Denmark, King David made terrible mistakes. He was a passionate king who saw the beautiful Bathsheba bathing, and he sent her husband to his death and took Bathsheba for himself. King David and Bathsheba's first son died, yet King David did not allow the loss to prevent him from moving forward and learning from his mistakes. King David realized that he could not bring his son back to life, and he didn't waste one more minute on something he couldn't control, but decided to trust God and to move forward in the faith. As I watched fellow gatherers follow me to watch their performance and gather on the grass, there were lots of kids and adults, blankets, waiting for the beginning of the play. And right away, I spotted Hamlet, the cast member who had set up the stage. And even before the play started, God answered my prayer of giving me something hopeful. God answered my prayer and helped me through the end of the play, which was dark and ended in tragedy. But God was faithful,